If the Fremen from Dune were known as the Fighters,
Long live the fighters!
then you know the name must mean something special. Hello, I am AP Talent, and this is Roleplay Culture. Fighters in D&D 5e are basic and vanilla, but that doesn't mean that they aren't fun. That's why they're one of the most, if not the most, played classes in the game. From long-ranged archers, to sword and boards, to polearm masters. They can be incredibly powerful in combat. But a lot of that power can be determined by which subclass you take. Subclasses, as you remember, are a selection a player makes to niche down into a more specific build for their character. These choices are made between levels 1 and 3. For the fighter subclass, also known as their martial archetype, we make this choice at level 3, and there are 10 to choose from. But which to take? What will take us to the championships? And what's going to leave us in the minor leagues? Spoiler for the worst, we'll be revisiting an old friend from our previous videos in this series. Now, these are just my opinions. I think any subclass can find a home in the right campaign at the right table. Deep in the lands of Kryn, there exists a strange magic known as Dunamancy, which, if you learn to master, can earn you the title of an Echo Knight. You use the shreds of unrealized timelines to do some very interesting things. This subclass comes from Critical Role's Explorer's Guide to Wildermount. Though it's not a third-party product, it is WotC's first-party D&D book. At 3rd level, you start with Manifest Echo. As a bonus action, we can create a duplicate of ourselves within 30 feet. It's not a perfect illusion, not an illusion at all, really, so others can tell it's ephemeral and it's not you. It must stay within 30 feet of you, and once per turn, you can move it 30 feet. No action required. This thing lasts until it's destroyed, dismissed by you, manifests another one, or if you're incapacitated. The duplicate has an AC equal to 14 plus your proficiency modifier. It's not too bad. Starting AC of 16 that can climb all the way to 20, pretty tanky. It only has 1 hit point, but it's immune to all conditions, and any saving throws it makes use your numbers. There are a couple of things you can do with this Echo. First, as a bonus action, and the cost of 15 feet of your movement, you can magically swap places with it. So if you're surrounded by bad guys and your Echo is just hanging out over there somewhere in the corner, just do a little old switcheroo. Second, any attacks you make can come from either you or the Echo. So if you make an attack, kill your target, but the next target's too far away to get to, but your Echo is close enough, you can smack it. Which I imagine would come as a surprise, as they're just thinking the hazy-looking version of you is just a harmless, crappy illusion. And third, if someone moves 5 feet away from the Echo, it satisfies the requirements for attacks of opportunity. And you can use your own reaction to make that attack. So again, if you swap places with your Echo to get out of a pile of enemies, and those enemies figure that they can just chase right after you, then they're going to be disappointed, as at least one of them is going to provoke an attack of opportunity from your Echo. This can really weaponize your reaction. Also at 3rd level, as if all that wasn't enough, we get Unleash Incarnate. When we take the attack action, we get an extra attack that comes from the Echo. We can do this a number of times per day equal to your Constitution modifier. Extra attacks are always powerful, especially if you've made a really hard-hitting fighter. You can only do this a couple of times a day. I think that's somewhat counterintuitive to the fighter design, which tends to prefer things that come back on short rests, like their Second Wind and Action Surge. But still, very strong. And the Manifest Echo ability can be used as often as we want, which is amazing. Can you imagine being stuck in with a group of enemies with your Echo over there somewhere, and you attack, Action Surge, attack again, and then bonus actions swap with your Echo, and then if they try and run after you, your Echo gets an attack of opportunity. If they stay and try and destroy it, even better, because its AC isn't too bad. Most importantly, those attacks aren't aimed at you. At 7th level, we get Echo Avatar. This allows us to use the Echo as a kind of familiar. As an action, we can see and hear through the Echo, which will leave us deafened and blinded, as these effects usually happen. We can only sustain this effect for 10 minutes at a time. That's sustained, not how long we can do this at all. 10 minutes every time we activate it. While we do this, the range the echo can be away from us goes from 30 feet to 1,000 feet. Now, it might not be immediately obvious why this ability is so good at first glance. You might just think it's a scouting ability, which it is. But you have to remember what else you can do with the echo. Any attack you make can come from the echo. So we can link up with the echo, walk it over that ridge, directly into that camp full of bandits, and just start murdering everyone. When someone finally lands a blow, and remember, Echo has AC of 17 at this point, it's destroyed and the link ends. And you just do it again. Bonus action, summon the Echo, action link with it, and just start walking. Can you imagine the horror your enemies would feel? This ghostly apparition that leaves no body when it dies, keeps appearing to kill them. No matter how many times they destroy it, or what they hit it with, it just keeps coming. This is a powerful enough that you might want to warn your DM before you try and pull it off. It doesn't seem like an Echo can do any other actions like opening up doors. So that might be beyond this Terminator. So there's that. At 10th level, we get Shadow Martyr. Once per short rest, when another creature that we can see gets attacked, we can use our reaction to throw the Echo in the path of that attack. This has to be done before the roll is made, but when you do, the attack will target the Echo instead. And remember, the Echo has an AC of 18 at this point. This could keep a squishier or wounded ally on their feet. And remember, it only takes a bonus action to summon it back. And if the attack misses, the Echo is now in a great position to attack back. Either with their opportunity attack if they flee, or on your turn, you can just go whole hog on them through your Echo. At 15th level, we have Reclaim Potential. When our Echo is destroyed by damage, we gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus Constitution modifier. We can do this a number of times per day equal to our Constitution modifier. This subclass really wants you to buff your Constitution, which is going to make you very tanky with a lot of regular hit points, as well as some temporary HP on top of that. At 18th level, we get Legion of One. First, when we roll initiative with no more uses of our Unleash Incarnate feature, that's the ability that lets us make an extra attack with our Echo, we will regain a use of this feature. Not bad, definitely useful, but it's not what we're here for. When we use a bonus action to manifest an Echo, we get 2 instead of 1. We can use them as before. And can you imagine the play of this character? Bouncing around the battlefield, making attacks, having our Echoes make attacks. And I don't think we've discussed yet, but the Echoes do take up space on the battlefield, just like any other player. So they can perform blocking by taking up space, giving bad guys something other than you to attack, and controlling the battlefield because they threaten the space they're in. So if someone tries to move away, you can make an attack of opportunity against them, even if they're 20 feet away from you, as long as they're near an Echo. This subclass is really strong, very tactical, and can do a lot of shenanigans with their Echoes. I love it. Now, let's look at the other end of things. If you watch some of the other videos for this series, specifically the Barbarian and Cleric, then you may know what's coming. The Sword Coast Adventures Guide is infamous for being far too short to be worth buying and pretty terrible. I think that's a little unfair. I don't mind reading it. I like lore. But some of the subclasses that came out of it, not so much. Like the Fighter's Banneret, which is the worst.
What I object to is they automatically treat me like an inferior. Well, I am king.
A Banneret is a knight who leads, literally carrying his lord's banner into battle to help inspire and lead the troops. Let's see how well they do that. At 3rd level, we get Rallying Cry. Let's talk about the fighter's second wind. Bonus action to use, comes back on a short rest, heals you for 1d10 plus fighter level. Rallying Cry lets us, when we use the second wind, heal up to 3 creatures that we see or hear within 60 feet for a number of hit points equal to our fighter level. So not bad, not great. It is all you get at this level, but I see what they're going for. Once per short rest, bonus action heal that hits you, and to a lesser degree, 3 others. It is important to remember that if your ally is at 0 hit points, this feature will not get them back up, as they are unconscious and unaware of the surroundings. They can't hear or see your rallying cry. At 7th level, we get Royal Envoy, and I gotta say, not a fan. We get proficiency with the persuasion skill, and when we make checks with it, we double our proficiency bonus. If we already have persuasion, we have 4 other skills that we can choose from. But the doubling is only for persuasion. I get what they're going for here, a charismatic knight that can function as a diplomat and a warrior. But why restrict it to just persuasion? Especially the proficiency bonus doubling. Why not insight or intimidation? Those are thematic and on the secondary skill list that you can pick from. I know they're trying to support a character that's probably not going to have much of a charisma score, and that can lead to some interesting multi-class options for more charisma-hungry builds. But man, otherwise this kind of sucks. There are better ways to accomplish this, and they could have been a lot more flexible with it. And once again, this is all you get. At 10th level, we get Inspiring Surge, which lets us, when we use an action surge, that's the feature that lets us take another action, choose one creature within 60 feet to use their reaction to make a melee or ranged weapon attack. At 18th level, we can hit 2 allies with this feature. I do like the idea of taking fighter core features and then boosting them up with the subclass features. Feels very cool. But I will say, piling all your abilities on other abilities means that once they're used, you're kind of done. Action Surge can only be used once per short rest until 17th level. It is probably better to have abilities that are staggered out so that you have more staying power. This feature just makes an already short rest hungry class that much hungrier. This feature also might not be as good as you might think. It specifically says that the ally you choose can only make a weapon attack, so your wizard and sorcerers aren't going to find much luck with this. If you have another strong weapon user, that'd be nice, but you're the fighter, so that you might be the only one of those there is. There is one class that I think would really appreciate this extra attack, and that's the rogue. Because it's their reaction outside of their turn, so they could squeeze in another sneak attack that way. Very nice. At 15th level, we get Bulwark. When you decide to use your Indomitable feature to reroll a failed Charisma, Intelligence, or a Wisdom saving throw, you can let an ally within 60 feet of you that can see or hear you that has also failed that roll against the same effect, reroll their roll. Like I said, though the idea of boosting core feature abilities does appeal to me, and certainly this would be nice to have against a dragon's frightful presence, it's extremely limited. You only have 2 uses of Indomitable at this level, and they come back on a long rest. It only works for mental saves, only against effects that target more than just you, so no dominate person, and then it's only useful if they actually fail their save. That's just too many ifs for me to be comfortable with seeing any real use of. I'm sure it will come in handy once in a while, but probably not as often as you might think. At 18th level, we really don't get anything. This section is kind of blank. I mean, we do get something, but we've already talked about it. The Inspiring Surge feature from 10th level lets us, when we action surge, affect 2 creatures instead of 1. So now 2 allies can use their reaction to make an extra weapon attack. It's fine. I just feel like we've been kind of cheated. I just think we could have kept that Inspiring Surge 18th level upgrade and then added an actual 18th level ability, and that would have been perfectly fine. I have to say, after researching this video and picking apart this subclass, I do like the idea of the subclass. The inspiring and negotiating knight. I like the idea of some of the design choices with taking core class features and having the subclass improve upon them. But I don't think the Banneret gets there. It doesn't do nearly enough to match the fantasy of the subclass. And the other abilities, though interesting in concept, would only be used once or twice a day, depending on how often you have a short rest. And let's be honest, they just flat out forgot to give this subclass an 18th level feature. I think if you like the idea of a charismatic leader charging into battle, waving their army's banner, you might want to consider the College of Valor Bard. It's not the strongest bard out there, but it's still pretty cool and pretty martially focused. Gets armor, shields, martial weapons, even extra attack. Plus all the usual good bard stuff, like full spell casting, good charisma for social rolls, and bardic inspiration, which for this particular bard class, subclass, gives additional ways for those inspired to use their dice. So those are my thoughts on the best and worst subclasses for the fighter in D&D 5e. Do you think the Echo Knight is the strongest? Or might you have picked something else like the Battle Master? That would have been my second choice. What do you think of the Banneret? Is it garbage? Would you instead choose, maybe the arcane archer or the samurai for the worst? I think the samurai would have been my negative runner-up. Be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, smash that like button. Check out our other videos over here, and I'll see you in the parlor.